I mean, that's something, as you were describing that, I was thinking a lot to back when I used to kind of work as an in-house trainer for various physical therapy clinics. And at the time, I was not trained in FR, right? I hadn't
Mm,
become a manual therapist yet. So I was just a strength coach. And a lot of the findings that I had questions on were some of the things that you're discussing here. And really, it just sounds, again, it's a lens problem where the words like activation, this is weak, like you said, this is tight, which is a really good way to communicate with, your average person who maybe doesn't know a lot about anatomy and physiology, because it's a very, it's an oversimplification. And
mhm,
so it's much easier for us to digest and go, okay, it's just tight. It's a very linear way to communicate. But the
mhm,
reality is, as you and I know, is there's a lot more nuance to that problem,
mhm,
because even if you were to start to dissect the words activation, what does that mean? Is that the same as motor unit activation? Right?
mhm,
Those are different things compared
mhm,
to how we describe and teach what an activation exercise is compared to, let's say, motor unit activation.
mhm,
Or when we're just looking for pain, this
mhm,
hurts here. A lot of clients will come in, they'll point, when I push here, it hurts. When I do this, it hurts, which is still good information. But again, it's not a complete picture. So what I'm hearing you say, just to kind of relate it back in sort of layman's terms, is it's really easy to try to problem solve movement problems with more movement solutions, but
mhm,
it's not going to specifically change a system that's complex, nonlinear, adaptive, and of which the parts we haven't even deconstructed and started to assess. And I think maybe this is a good segue into why FRS does that, right? Why we all do this is because one of the big blind spots we feel is that these tissues, these joint and connective tissues, are not appreciated for the level with which they can be trained and assessed.
mhm, mhm.
And I think
I see what
that's,
you're saying. It's a very good point in that,
yeah,
it's like the hammer nail thing. It's like if you don't have the knowledge as to how to generate inputs to fix the specifics of this problem, you fall back on the generalizations of the problem. And then you generally try to just make whatever you're finding better. You're right. It's the same thing with regards to manual therapy. When I'm teaching a manual therapist, that,
yeah.
just because something hurts to touch it, it doesn't mean that it's a finding pertinent to the person in front of you.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that that particular spot on the body needs to have something done to it to unpainful the palpation.
Right.
Because as you
Right.
know, there's a variety of areas in the body which are just subject to pain on palpation. No
Yeah.
matter what you do. We've talked about, that
They don't feel
imaginary
good.
spot here that they call the levator scapula.
Right.
Or when someone's getting a massage, right in their
On their
flank
kidneys.
on their kidneys, right? And they go, oh, your QL is tight. Or when you're
Right.
driving an elbow into the butt and you're hitting that, the sciatic nerve as it goes under or through the piriformis and stuff, and you're
Hmm.
getting that, oh my God, that hurts. And go, oh, well,
Hmm.
that's the thing that needs to be rubbed and or acupunctured and or massaged and or manipulated. And the fact that there's so many of these and doors speaks to that problem as well. I
Hmm.
often will talk to practitioners, and if they're discussing a case, there's a case of chronic low back pain or whatever, and someone says, well, did you try ultrasound?
Right.
Or did you try acupuncture? Or did you
Right.
try spinal manipulative therapy? Which is another way of saying, I don't really understand to a histological, physiological basis what these inputs are supposed to achieve.
Right.
Therefore, I'm unable to make a conceptual framework as to when these individual inputs would be utilized or useful for the
Hmm.
problem in front of me.
Hmm.
If that makes sense. And that goes back to what you said before. It's if you're a massage therapist and you feel, your job is to massage, then when
Right.
someone comes in and they say they have a pain finding, then automatically you massage. Now what you were saying is that And you're probably getting this from when you teach the courses, because when you teach the courses, there's a lot of aha moments where people, it's not like they don't have the necessary knowledge to do these things, is that they never
Mhm.
thought to organize in a systematic way the
Mhm.
approach to tackle these individual problems one by
Mhm.
one, before trying to just alter the composite or alter the movement in whatever way you feel is beneficial.
Yeah.